Interesting science experiment by Mr. M. Hello, I'm Mr. Mukaibo. Welcome to my channel. First, let me go over the phenomenon that we are going to explore together during our experiment. As you can see in this junior high school textbook, when phenolphthalein strong base NaOH is added to a strong alkaline liquid, it turns pink. Higher the alkaline level, deeper the color of the liquid becomes. Therefore, when the alkaline level is high, the liquid turns vivid red, and when it's low, it turns light pink. Phenolphthalein is often used to measure the alkaline level. As you saw earlier, I wrote mukaibo using a brush soaked in sodium hydroxide on a piece of paper. Then, on the top of that, I spray phenolphthalein that when these letters mukaibo become visible due to the basicity chemical reaction. This is how we measure the alkaline level using phenolphthalein. Interesting science experiment by Mr. M. Number 1. A cone climbs up the slope. This was actually my very first experiment on this channel. I will explain how and why the cone climbs up the slope using logic. First, let me show you the overall construction of this slope. The left side of the slope is 50 centimeters in height, and the right side is 20 centimeters high. The red part is higher. This is how the shape of the cone looks. As you can see, this cylinder goes down the slope, this slope, from the top of the bottom of the slope. When I remove this cylinder away from the cone, you will see how the cone starts climbing up the slope. This time, let me look at it from the vertical angle. As you can see, the cone goes down the slope. The height of the center of the gravity, G for short, is about 24 centimeters at the lowest position. Now, as I remove this cylinder off the slope, the cone starts going down this slope. Let's measure the height of the center of the gravity. At the highest position, it's about 22.5 centimeters. This means that the center of the gravity has been lowered. At the first glance, it looks as if the cone is going to the slope due to the synergistic effect on the shape and angle of the object and the slope. So in reality, the cone is in fact going down instead of up. The cone itself is actually falling. Although the distinction may be subtle, the angle of the slope and the cone in relation to each other is crucial, and the cone will not always slide down unless they are placed right at a certain angle. This toy, or rather a machine, use humans' perceptual illusion to make it look like the cone is sliding down. Mr. Nakano lent me this picture. Mount Fuji and cherry blossom. Let me explain the mechanism of this toy. This blue line indicates the shape of the slope. The right side is higher than the left side. The red circle shows how the cone looks from the side. Since the cone is symmetrical in shape, the center of the gravity lies in the middle. The route traveled by the center of the gravity is the yellow line, which is parallel to the ground. It does look like G is gradually going down the slope. Therefore, this object is falling or sloping down. The expression going down the slope makes the whole thing a little tricky and tough. Although the object looks like it goes up the slope, it is in fact falling. Now for more information about gravity, please refer back to one of our previous sessions covering the subject matter. Every object has a center of the gravity. As for this object, it is located right here. It can be said that all the mass is cast on the center. Actually, I first shared this experiment with a group of junior high school students when I visited their school as a guest speaker decades ago. At that time, I was teaching physics full-time at the high school, although I was doing some basic textbook science experiments in my class. I had yet to discover the joy of teaching science, specifically physics, through fun and exciting experiments. And one day, I discovered this book called Entertaining Science Experiment with Everyday Object, written by Martin Gardner, under Japanese additional supervision of Dr. Jin Akiyama. Actually, this book is where I found our experiment. It has simple schematic of the equipment and some explanation of the experiment. After reading this book, I was fascinated by the fact that there are some really interesting hands-on science experiments. I immediately built the equipment and turned out to be quite the crowd pleasure. It might be that the kids has never seen anything like that before, and the students were quite moved by the experiment. I have also shared more than 10 experiments since then, and all were received really well. Nonetheless, this slope experiment was my very first one. I considered myself lucky to have found this book. After all these years, I still remember the excitement on the students' faces and how they were gasping and cheering in amazement. Since then, I have collected over 100 science experiment books and tried numerous experiments in search of experiments that are exciting and intriguing to my students, and share many with them. For some of you who are aspiring to go into the science field, I would like to encourage you to stay curious, for it can open doors to new discoveries. As you all know, it is said that What you have discovered so far is only the tip of the iceberg, as only 20% of the matters in the universe has been discovered. Even today, 80% of the Earth remains a mystery. In other words, there is a whole lot to be discovered in the future. I truly hope that this experiment may lead you to many exciting discoveries. Curiosity is the most important thing in science. Goodbye.